The very first simple question I have for you is, should the Celtics be really considering something like this, a Jaylen Brown and picks for Kevin Durant?
Well, when you look at those other three teams that have been talked about a lot, Jacoby, right? The Suns, the Heat, and the Raptors. I think you can make really good cases that all those teams should try to get Kevin Durant, right? That would meaningfully change their ceiling. But let's look at where the Boston Celtics are. We just saw them in the NBA Finals. We were both at some of those games, right? They were very close to winning a championship. They beat the Nets and the Bucks and the Heat in the Eastern Conference playoffs. And they have a team that's built around Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, two 25-year-old stars that they have for the next, several years, assuming they both re-sign. So to me, I think of all these teams involved, you can make a very good case, and frankly, it's the case I would make, that the Celtics shouldn't trade a huge package around Jaylen Brown for Kevin Durant because Jaylen Brown is 9 years younger. He is a guy that has been there the whole time. They do have a team that fits very well. They might have the deepest team in the Eastern Conference, maybe the league right now after getting Malcolm Brogdon and Danilo Gallinari. So to me, I wouldn't make this deal if I was the Celtics. I know a lot of people might say, well, how could you not trade for Kevin Durant?
That's exactly what I was about to say. You do a very good job of me coming here being like, why wouldn't you want Kevin Durant on your team? But when you consider all of this and the success that we just had this group have, the should they trade Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown thing has been going on for 4 years now. And I really felt like the run they had against the Nets, the Bucks in a Game 7, the Heat in a Game 7, and then getting to the NBA Finals, we were finally going to end this. But it seems like Mr. Brown, based on his 3-letter tweet, might feel a little annoyed that this is coming back up again.
Yeah, and I can understand that if I'm Jaylen Brown, right? He's an all-star forward. He's been one of the centerpieces of the Celtics for years now, and this is the third time his name has come up in these kind of talks. But who has his name come up in conversations about? First it was Kawhi Leonard, then it was Anthony Davis, and now it's Kevin Durant, right? What do those three guys have in common? They're three of, at the time, the 5 or 10 best players on the planet.
Oh, top 5. At that time, all three of them were top 5.
So it's certainly not that the Celtics are throwing Jaylen Brown into one trade after another to try to move on from this guy. But naturally, if you're going to trade for someone like Kevin Durant, you have to give up something. It's why Phoenix, all the Phoenix packages begin with Mikal Bridges. It's why the Toronto packages all begin with Scotty Barnes or Pascal Siakam or OG Anunoby. You're talking about elite young players because to get a guy like Kevin Durant, you naturally have to give something up. So I understand why Jalen's frustrated. I would be if I was him, but at the same time, if you're going to make a deal like this, you have to give up something. He's the natural thing to start a package.
And they're also just doing their jobs by having the conversation, right? We're not reporting a trade. We're just reporting that they talked. So let's say that you are Sean Marks. The Celtics have reached out. How do you counter? What do you say to this sort of a proposal?
Well, look, the Nets clearly want to get a historic package in return for Kevin Durant. That's what Adrian's reported from the beginning, and it naturally makes sense, right? He's got 4 years left on his contract. He's probably, in my opinion, he's probably the second best player on the planet right now behind Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's easily, if not the best, one of the top 2 or 3 players. So you're going to ask for a mountain in return. Ton of picks, young players, star players like Jaylen Brown. You're going to want the whole package. And the thing about what the Celtics have to offer is they don't have any bad contracts. Their top 8, 9, 10 guys, they're all on good deals. They've got all good young players under contract for a long time. Like, you're talking about having to do, say, Jaylen Brown and Derek White at a minimum just to make the money work in this deal for Kevin Durant. Those are 2 really good players. So the Celtics are really well positioned to make this kind of move. But again, I think it comes back to, if you're Boston, do you want to blow up a team that already might be favored to get out of the East to add Kevin Durant, a 33 going on 34-year-old guy who's had a bunch of significant injuries, who has $200 million owed to him next over the 4 years? I think of all 4 of these teams, they're the only one I think that can really ask the question, is this the right thing to do?
You make a great case.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.